What's cracking, people? It's your man, Cousin T, aka the Alpha Wingman, representing high level technicians operating globally and beyond. So, listen, today I wanted to cover a question that a Patreon subscriber had. So, salute to you. Um, I will try to post that original question right here. But basically, he wanted to have an understanding about what fours had to offer in terms of the intimate exchange, where they could be placed on a roster, and what overall benefit they can provide to you. And it just so happened that I was putting together a presentation on that very subject. And this subject that I want to cover today covers what I refer to as Foxy fours. And so before we really get into this particular conversation, I want to contrast this with what I consider to be the 8, 9, and 10. And so before we go into that, let me play this brief clip from the late great Kevin Samuels in terms of what we would consider to be a dime piece in the modern era. Here it is.
Beyonce is an 8, Kelly Rowland would be a 9, and Rihanna, even with her big forehead, would be a 10.
So before we move forward with this particular presentation, I want to make it clear. Clearly, Kevin Samuels was using a standard used by black men. Okay, so putting Beyonce, Kelly Rowland, and Rihanna. Now, obviously, these are global icons, but I want to be very specific. When in the context of the conversation, Kevin used these three icons as a standard from the perspective or orientation of the black community. So just for contrast, I'm going to post an 8, 9, and 10 that I'm using in a different video going over this subject more thoroughly. And what we want to make sure that we establish is that there is a spectrum. Okay, just like going back to the echelons of dime pieces video, there are different levels to this thing. But when we talk about beauty and how it's appreciated by those who are beholding the beauty, we have to understand these are just points on a spectrum. But for the sake of context and the conversation, we're going to go with this particular representation of the 8, 9, and 10. All right. So moving forward, to address this Patreon subscribers question, I am going to use an example from the internet, okay, in particular from Instagram, that I thought was a brilliant answer. Now, this is a content creator. She's produced, many projects, and she works in the Atlanta area. However, for the sake of, premiering this video on the YouTube side, I'm not going to use the full image. The full image will be used over on the Patreon side. So what's perfect about this particular example is that this content creator took a picture from an experience, from an engagement with Kelly Rowland herself. So, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this when we're having the conversation about Foxy fours. Not only that, this content creator understands, be it intrinsic, be it intentional, the necessity of diversity of photographic presentation. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, as you know, because you are a part of the House of Technicians, that when we make an observation about women and how they're presenting themselves within their digital footprint, we use the Miss Universe standard. And so we look for the presentation of evening wear. How does she look in formal wear? We look for a presentation of bathing suits, right? Is she confident enough to wear a two-piece at a swimming pool or at a beach? And third, how does she present herself casually? And this particular content creator did all of that. And that's why I say that this is the ideal sort of case study for this conversation. Now, that being said, The rating is 4. However, she is a foxy 4, meaning that she has attributes about her personality, about her character, about how she presents that enhance her aesthetic overall in terms of how her beauty is received, how she projects her energy, her brilliance to the world. And so when a man is looking for roster positions, and particularly, is she a creative? Is she a healer? Is she a PYT? These factors need to be taken into consideration. Okay. Now, obviously, there'll be a different video explaining, and it may even be a live stream explaining the difference between your roster positions and a rotation. Okay. So getting further into this question, my response to the Patreon subscriber is basically that when you're vetting and qualifying the women on your roster for a promotion up to the higher levels, like you mentioned in your question, the two highest levels obviously being the ride or die and the queen bee, the aesthetic beauty of the woman, that's not the majority of your decision. That should not be the majority of your decision. The majority of the decision that you make in order to promote a woman on your roster into the highest 2 positions should be based on the things that were mentioned before: her character, her intrinsic values, meaning what does she bring spiritually? What does she bring in terms of her healing qualities? We all know, the term I coined in terms of her nest qualities, her nesting qualities, nurturing, emotionally stable, and temptress attributes. Those are the qualities that need to be considered when you're looking to promote a woman who you're qualifying and you've been vetting within your roster. Okay, so that's the long and short of answering that question. Now let's get into the fun part of this particular presentation. Here is the hothouse standard graphic when we are observing a woman in her natural habitat in terms of ranking her within the structure. So this is that Miss Universe standard.
Gentlemen, I know we're getting to the best part of this information right here, but what I need you to do is head on over to the Patreon, where you will get the complete and in-depth information regarding this particular subject and hundreds more, covering the most coveted skill sets there are. And gentlemen, you know that those skill sets are the skill sets of seduction. So the link is in the description down below. Click on that, go ahead and log in, and continue your journey of masculine mastery. We'll see you there.